Okay, well, thank you everybody to joining this Tuesday Team Legacy production training. So if you have, this is your first time being here, Team Legacy is one of the best organization in eXp Realty, and we do on top of what eXp Realty is provided. Leader like us, me, Jeff, Amanda, everybody in the group, right? We really take the time, to put together the presentation, or training. Sometimes, it's locally in Houston, at other places, or, sometimes it's Zoom like this. So everybody all around the world, we can join and then we can collaborate, right? Because I really want to promote the message of our company, right? It's by collaboration. When you ask me something, just like how I explained it to Andre yesterday, I don't answer you just to answer you, right? I really, really try to help you because I know that if I can just help an EXP agent close a deal, do this or do that, right? I know that as a shareholder, right, I have vested interest in this company, in each and every one of you. So I really want to promote the culture of collaboration in our group because I think this is what makes us really different versus any other real estate company or any other team, right? So without further ado, let me see. Yep. Okay. I today I'm by myself, so sometimes I have to stop. I have to keep an eye on the participant and see who joined and whatnot so that I can approve them. But today, this presentation, I just want to share with you guys the experience, as an investor, as a real estate agent, right? For the past 15 years of me being in the industry, I make so many mistakes, and some of them, I think, it can be avoided, it can be learned. So I wouldn't wish anybody to make the same mistake that I did. So I put together this presentation. So let's go to each of my mistakes, and the lesson that I learned from them. So hopefully you can gain actionable tip, right, to elevate your own business. So, so go ahead and start, right? My name is Hui. I've been a real estate agent, investor since 2018, probably 2000 and as an investor, 2012, to be honest. I started being a full-time agent in 2018, but as a real estate investor, 2012. Right, 5 times icon agent, right? The top 5% in eXp Realty. I'm the revenue share leader of 300 agent in my revenue share group. We done over 100 flips, a lot of mistake in there. I've been investing since 2012, right? So we start buying long-term rental, and recently we're starting to add short-term rental and mid-term rental into our portfolio. Um, a lot of people ask me this, why my dog name is ROM, right? So it just stands for room, right? So when you rev your engine, right, in your car or your motorcycle, that's where the dog name come from, right? So I'm a car guy, I'm a motorcycle guy. But anyway, so the mission, for the training is to help and educate agent and broker. I want you, each and every one of you here that attend the training, I want you to have more equity and more cash flow in your business, right? That is the name of the game. I really want to educate and mentor and create more real estate rock star, a real estate agent, real estate investor, just because the way our model work, right? Whatever I know here in my brand, right? Instead of holding it for myself, I really want each and every one of you, Lolina, Jose, Henri, I want each of you to know what I know. So that way, you can go out to the marketplace and you can do it better than me. Right. So um, jumping right in on mistake number one, right? I wish somebody told me this earlier in my career, but I was focusing too much on investing versus being a sale, versus focusing on my sales skill, right? Because we have to remember sales equal income. So you're gonna need income, right? Especially for real estate investor, right? It's so important, to keep your income consistently, either to your job or to somebody, or to your, real estate commission to generate income. Because if you don't have income, when the deal come in, it's gonna very hard for you to move on the deal, right? You have to borrow money, you have to bring on equity partner, you have to do all kind of creative way in order for you to get the deal, right? It doesn't have to be that way if you have a consistent and strong income base. So just keep in mind, right? Again, I wish somebody told me earlier, I was focused too much on investing versus, improving my sales skill. But 5, 10 years looking back, if I can just do it again, I would really, really focus on being a really, really good real estate agent or being a really good, at my job. So that way my income is increased in the beginning, right? because, you know, people, especially when you get into real estate investing, people keep telling you like, hey, what is the strongest force in the universe? They're going to tell you it's compound interest, right? I can tell you right now, after 10, 15 years of investing in real estate, compound interest is a lie, right? At least in the beginning, because if you have $100 and you're going to compound it, you know, at 5% over 10 years, you're going to have 5, 10, $20 max. Okay. It's not going to make a difference in your life. If you have $1 million, right? If you make and you keep $1 million and you let it compound at 5%, you know, over a period of time, yes, it's going to make a difference in your life. So just keep that in mind. Compound interest, it only works when you have something to compound, right? If you have too little, it's not going to compound. So focus on your income. It's really important, right? Again, yeah, focus on increase your income, build your business that generate income in your early career, right? It's okay. It's okay to have a high tax bracket in this period. This is actually a good problem to have because, you know, if you have to pay high tax, it means that you make good money, right? So don't be afraid to pay high tax bracket. The problem with real estate investor running into, they keep pounding in your head the fact that, hey, you pay less in tax, you figure out a way to, you know, increase your increase your tax efficient, you know, do thing efficient way so that you don't have to get taxed highly, right? Eventually it's going to get in your head and then you're going to learn how to like, hey, you know, maybe I should less make money, you know, so that way I don't have to pay high in tax, right? That is a completely wrong way to start it in my way and in my opinion. So it's okay for you to make a lot of money either to your 1099, doing your sales job at EXP, or, you know, having just a W2 job. It's okay to make a lot of money and pay a lot of tax, you know, in the beginning, right? This is your base. This is a really good problem to have. And then, you know, you can get fancy. You can have tax structure, LLC to effectively reduce your tax. But you need to have income, right? If you don't have income, and then you don't have to even worry about the tax, the tax issue. So again, strong income is going to give you more option in life, right? More option in investing, right? And especially it's going to withstand your mistake, right? Trust me, guys, you're going to make mistake in your real estate career. Your income is going to save you, right? If you make mistake and you don't have any income to back it up, you're going to get wiped out really, really fast. So yeah, focus on sell instead of investing in your beginning career, right? And then this is I wish somebody told me this in the beginning as well, right? You need to diversify your income, right? Well, this is I would say that one income is better than 7 small income, right? So just like Henri, I'm gonna use your example again because, you know, my conversation is still fresh with you yesterday. I told Henri that like, hey, you know, you need to pick 3 things you good at and focus on one thing, right? If you're good at social media, do 3 and 4 reel a week, right? Go to community, go visit builder, right? Make content, right? Really, really push yourself on social media. Or if you're not going to do that, right, focus on, you know, open house, right? Doing one open house a weekend is not going to generate you any business. You need to, you know, start from Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You do 2 to 3 open house a day in order for you to generate the business, right? So focus on the one thing that you're going to be really, really good at that doesn't cost you a lot of, you know, energy, right? Focus on being good at one thing. If somebody tell you that I'm a flipper, but I'm also a builder, I'm an investor, I'm also a realtor, I'm an apartment locator expert, I'm a stock trader, I'm a wholesaler, I also invest in crypto, right? Trust me, they are none of it, right? So focus on one thing, make sure people know you, what you're really good at that one thing, and make really, really, really good money using that one big income, right? So pick your portion and stick to it. Um, and again, right, diversify your income at least in the beginning. For me, it's a complete mistake. You should not diversify your income in the beginning. You focus at one thing and you make sure you're really, really good at it, right? So mistake number 3, so I start to dig in, you know, like, hey, what is all the mistake that I really made during the past, you know, 10, 15 years of me being in real estate, right? And I try not to ask ChatGPT about it, you know, because ChatGPT is just, you know, giving you some generic answer. So these are really the mistake that I make, you know, over the course of my investment, my real estate career, right? And one of the mistakes that I keep seeing over and over, unfortunately, is that sometimes I sell positive cash flow asset, right? Positive cash flow house, which is a big no-no. Yeah. So the lesson for any one of you who listening right here, if you have an income producing asset, and especially one is produce positive cash flow, which means that the rent coming in is covered for the mortgage, covered for the tax, covered for the insurance, it's covered everything, and you come out positive, never ever sell it, right? Eat noodle if you have to, right? Stay at home if you have to, right? Don't travel for a year or two if you have to, but never sell your income producing asset, right? Unless you're trading up, unless you 1031 it into something bigger, and then yes, you can trade it up, but I would never sell your income producing asset for cash, right? Just remember this one thing. Sometimes we forgot the basic. The money that you have in the bank, the money that I have in wallet, right? The money depreciate. The US dollar is a fiat currency. It depreciate. That's why your egg is cost so much right now, right? Your meat at the supermarket costs so much right now. The meat is the same. The egg is the same. It's your money that depreciate, right? So you have to end up paying more for the same thing. So real estate is one of the assets that they appreciate. So if I have a choice to hold cash in the bank or to hold a positive income producing asset like real estate, I select to or you I gonna select to own a real estate portfolio over cash in my bank all day long, right? Because I know it's gonna appreciate. The money in the bank is gonna depreciate, right? And then this is something from my own experience, right? The money, when you sell your asset, you're gonna come up with a large sum of money in the bank. And all those you try to stack it away, the money sit in the bank, in my personal opinion, they will always find an emergency, right? I don't know why, but every time I have money sit in the bank, you guys probably related to this. The money will find an emergency, right? Either this broke, either that broke, I need to give money to this guy, I need to do this, unconsciously, right? Your mind, your money will find somewhere to go, right? And then all of a sudden you cannot hold on to that wealth anymore. Versus, if you have your wealth in an asset, it's not very liquid like real estate. At least you hold an asset, right? And then you find something else, to solve your problem instead of your emergency fund, right? If your money is in the bank, it will come an emergency fund, and you always going to find an emergency for your money. So just keep that in mind. Money sitting in the bank is not going to be for long. Yeah. And to reiterate my point, right? Cash flow asset, it will trump the actual cash in all situations. So never sell, your positive cash flow asset, right? This is just some example, right? I thought this is a good deal, right? I bought this home, for I think $85,000 back then. And for whatever reason, I thought, I almost doubled the money. I thought it's a good deal. I thought it's a good deal to sell it for $155,000. I mean, I did, right? I sold it for $155,000. Do you know how much this house worth now? Right? Not of $250,000. So I leave 100 grand on the table just because I sell it, just because I want to see the money in the bank, right? And now, I cannot buy the same thing again, for $80,000 anymore. Heck, not even a $150,000, right? So when you sell your asset, there's a high chance that you can never buy it back again, right? Same example right here, right? I think I was, in some sort of like a crash course, like, hey, I need some money to do this and I need money to do that. I just quit my job. Maybe I feel safer to have some money in the bank. We bought this house for what, $65,000. Can you believe it? We bought this house for $65,000 back then. And then I decided that, hey, maybe I double the money, from $65,000, the house is now worth 120. I think it's a good deal, right? We double our money, let's sell it. All those is positive cash flow. Big mistake, right? You're gonna end up pay a lot of capital gain on it, right? 10% for long-term capital gain. And oh my God, the house right now, I think I zero estimate at 200, but if you look it up on HAR, it's in the north of 230 and 240. So again, right, leaving a couple hundred grand on the table just because I want to see cash in the bank. So these are the two mistakes, that I see people like me normally make. And I wouldn't want to see anybody making the same mistake again, right? It looks simple, but when it comes to decision time, sometimes we don't see the future. We tend to overlook it. Yeah. So mistake number four, right? Too many people in the pipe, too many chef in the kitchen and not enough. The cake is too small for you to split. So this is another problem, right? A lot of investor, or business owner, we usually underestimate the amount of time and energy to effectively manage an asset, right? The house is an asset and they need an asset manager, right? The return of investment is good, right? If you buy it for, let's say in this example, this is Long Meadow, we bought it for $200,000, need no repair. The rent is 1650, right? This is a good deal, right? The return on investment is good, but the return of time is not, right? Because I didn't know what I was doing back then, right? I didn't know how to put debt on the equity, right? I just pull some friend and some family in, right? And all of a sudden, you have five partners to answer to, right? You have to answer to your partner. You have to manage the house, right? You have to keep up with all the legality of just one house, right? And that's $1,600 a month, it's not worth your time. The return on investment is not good. So, and of course, when you have that constraint on your end, right? We make some mistakes. So instead of refinance and or buy out a partner, right? We decide to sell it, which is fine. But then thinking back about this deal, there's so many ways that I can do to exit the deal, right? So one of the big lessons for me, doing this deal is that, I learned that I I only bring in partner in the deal if the deal is big enough, right? If not, you need to figure out some other way to finance the deal, right? Either to hard money or private money. There's a lot of way for you to acquire the deal without bringing on equity partner or your LP, right? Because when you bring on a partner, you're gonna divide the cake into into so many slices, and sometimes the cake is not big enough for everyone to split. So your partner invests all this money, they don't get the return that they want, and you invest all this time in the deal, right? And then you don't get the return you want either. So, there's nothing wrong on you, nothing wrong on the partner. It's just the deal. It's just too small to bring 4 or 5 people in. So just keep that in mind, right? And then sometimes, a great deal, you know, a, a, you can find a great deal, but when the structure is not so good, it can also turn into a bad deal, right? So this is one of the deal that I learned a lot from, right? I got it. I got this deal from HAR actually, $190,000, and not for one house, for 3 house, right? It's not a good deal. It's a great deal. And again, right? We make too many mistakes. I make the same mistake again. Unfortunately, I didn't learn from my previous mistake. I make the same mistake again, right? Back then, we don't have enough money. We don't know how to structure the deal, with hard money, right? We don't know how to bring in and structure and bring in the equity and the debt properly. So I start bringing on equity partner, right? That is clearly a better option, right? So unfortunately, right, we have so many equity partner, a bank to answer to, right? Um, the rehab got mismanaged, right? The house is sit on an HOA hotspot. It means that, when you turn into the neighborhood, this is the first house that everybody see, right? So this is the first house that the HOA, whenever they do the drive-by, they're gonna see the house. They see all the, they see all the grass that is not cut and all that stuff. Yeah, so it become a management nightmare to deal with the HOA on every single day, right? So you do get tired from managing the deal as well. And actually, from this deal, I get hospitalized because it was the let me try to remember. It was a really rainy day, right? And then the ladder was tilted like this. And then, I was up there panning the chimney, and then the water keep getting to the ladder. And then, it's just slipping away. And then all of a sudden, it's just slide like this. And then I'm on top of it. So I fell with my chin. I broke my chin. Jenny had to rush me to the ER. So, that cost a ton of money to repair me, right? So yeah. Um, but yeah, a lot of drama happened with this house, so we decide to sell it. Don't get me wrong, right? We make good money on the house, but but it's just one of the deal that, the structure of the deal itself is not very good, right? There's so many equity partner, 4 or 5 people in the deal, plus a bank to answer to, a bunch of mismanagement, HOA hotspot, and then I end up going to the hospital. So we end up selling it for a profit. But if I were to do it again, right, I would have to, I would do it completely different, right? Um, yeah, yeah, there's always a way that you can structure a deal so that way, all your equity partner can be happy without involving in the deal. And yeah, hang on. I lost my train of thought there in a little bit. Any questions so far, guys?
No, I think it's great, Hui.
Okay, that's awesome. So let me continue real quick to we might come back to this house later because there's a lot of things that happen on this deal. It ended up be a good deal, right? I ended up doing a deal with Kai. Kai is now one of my major partner in EXP because he's the buyer of this house, and back then I was a seller. So, yeah. So I guess in the good, it's come out in the bad, it's come out a good. But yeah, it was quite a deal to remember. I'm gonna come back to this later. But point number 6, let's moving on. Emotional, unintelligent, right? So again, I don't know why, but back then I got this really good deal. It's 155,000. I got it for only 155,000 from a wholesaler, and for whatever reason, right? I decide to oops, the deal is the deal. Yeah. For whatever reason, we decide to, flip it for $165,000, right? Make a quick buck, I think I do good, hey, got it for 150, wholesale it immediately for $10,000. The worst thing is that this house in my neighborhood, I have to see it every day, and the home is worth in the north of $500,000. I mean, can you believe it, right? So back to lesson number 1, right? When you have a positive cash flow asset, right? Learn to figure out a way to keep it, right? It's always, your future you is gonna thank you, right? Because you don't make a quick buck because the $10,000 that go into your bank, you're gonna end up, find an emergency for it. The money is gonna be gone the second you know it, right? So yeah, this is one of the deal for me personally to remember because we did the ARV, right? We thought, I know for sure that it's gonna be, in the north of 300. But in the split second, I thought that, hey, if I can do $10,000 with no work, I think it's a better deal, right? Turn out in the future that this is one of the deal that I will remember forever because the amount of potential, the equity that we could make is just so big, right? And you know if I can just come back, if I can just turn back the time and go back to the me right there, I just want to slap me so bad, right? Because I just want to make a quick bucks and move on. So yeah. So deal number 8, right? A deal is a deal. So I had the opportunity to purchase a good commercial piece, right? We actually have it under contract for $500,000, right? So everything is good. You know, the buyer is happy, the seller is happy, everybody's okay until the seller he all of a sudden, right? He won $270,000. So he won 70,000 more, right? Last minute, right? On a couple of days before closing, right? Because he realized that he's selling it for cheap and he's in a cash crunch, right? So he's trying to, take out more money into the deal, right? I did my number. 270 is still a good deal, right? But for whatever reason, emotional got involved, right? We still decide to drop the deal, right? Right. Big mistake, big mistake. If a deal is a deal, I know a deal is a deal, right? But if it's still a deal, right, you can always put your emotion aside, right? And restructure the deal to make it, for it to make sense to everyone, right? In order, instead of getting angry, getting emotional, and drop the deal, right? If the number work, a deal is still a deal. You should still do it if it's still gonna make money for you and your partner. Yeah. So this is one of the mistakes that I remember as well. Just to keep your kind of your emotional, your emotional side when it comes to deal. Otherwise, you're gonna end up missing a lot of deal in the future. Yeah. And then number 10, right? Don't be afraid to make a mistake. So I am where I am today, right? Because of my mistake, right? I would afraid of people that make no mistake because um, there's a lot of, I would say, the scar is what make you an experienced agent or an experienced investor, right? So the people that have no scar, that never make any mistake, I wouldn't, I would vet them a little bit more careful before I do any business with them, right? Make small mistake and learn, right? The mistake is what going to help you grow. Um, and just to sum up from the presentation, when emotion is high, right, intelligence is low, right? It's never a good time to make decision. So whenever you caught yourself in the situation, right, just remember to delay the decision-making process, right, until you calm down, you look at the number. So that way you can make informed decision, right? Not for the current you, but for the future you. Yeah. And then one thing that I learned from all the year that in the business, right? Sometimes we forgot on the wrong thing, right? So for example, right, a lot of people they make the goal of hey, I want some money in the bank, I want the actual cash, right? Um, let's say you put a goal for yourself that you want $100,000, you want $100,000 in the bank, right? You want $1 million in the bank, you want $5 million in the bank, right? So I used to do that, right? It worked. Don't get me wrong, it helped, but maybe focus on something different. I would say in my case, right? I start to focus on the right thing instead of the actual cash in the bank. You start to focus on the asset and the cash flow, right? And that has changed everything. So instead of saying, let's say, for example, I want $5 million in the bank, you can set your goal to, you can tweak your goal to something different that say, I want 5 million worth of asset, right? That produce $1 million worth of income in a year for the rest of my life, right? Would you agree with me that that would be a better goal than having $5 million in the bank, right? And then what you're going to do when you have $5 million in the bank? Still the same, right? Eat the same food, everything is still pretty much the same. But if you have if you have $5 million worth of asset that produce, income for the rest of the year of your life, that is going to make a real difference. Yeah. So I want to open up the floor a little bit and, check with everybody to see if anybody here that make a mistake, either in your career, in your real estate career, either investing or sell, that you would like to open up and share, so that way we can learn from you, from you guys as well. Any taker?
Thank you, Hui, for a lot of helpful information that we as realtors sometimes, just forget about. I think working with emotion is the big point for me since day one, because I personally, whenever I work with the transaction, I tend to put more of my emotion into the deal and sometimes forget what would be the real focus is. And I noticed that, the more that I work with other agents on the other side of the table, I saw that coming up often as well. So sometimes, I think it's important for us to remember that we represent our clients, either buyer and seller, and just let our emotion aside. So I just got a deal, and the listing agent was just not like one of those friendly ones. She just wanted to boss people around, and she wanted to do something her way, but with men offer, like unnecessary things. And it's almost ruined our deal if I just let my emotion involve as well. So I see that happen quite a lot for agents when they work.
Yeah, that was really good. Yeah, May, you bring up a really good point, because buying and selling, especially in residential real estate, right, it's actually very emotional, right, for both the seller and the buyer, right? So I think one of our job as a real estate agent, right, you have to be able to keep your head cool in order to make, in order to represent your client in the right way, right? So if the buyer get emotional, the seller get emotional, and you as a real estate agent, you get emotional as well, the whole deal, it's gonna fall apart, very, very soon. So I always see that in a transaction, right? If you notice the veteran, the professional agent, that been doing this, in for a long time, right? They always very professional when they present the offer. It doesn't matter how low, it doesn't matter how high. You have an offer and it's a legally acceptable offer, you professionally represent it, right? You keep all the emotion aside. So that way the seller, they can make an informed decision without your emotion influencing into them. Yeah, so I think, that is a really good point as a real estate agent. We need to start to learn how to, look at things objectively, not to the emotional side of things. And I think just that one thing alone is going to make everybody here in the call become a better real estate agent, become a better salesperson already. Thank you, May. Anybody else that's willing to share? What is some of the mistakes that you make in your career and what you learn from it?
I personally made him. I'll go.
I'm sorry. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Tuan.
Oh yeah, hi Huy. I like to share my mistake in my career too. Yeah, so I start business I think like 8 years ago when I first a new agent. I made a mistake like I joined the flash fee broker. I think like from what I've been training the new realtor now, there's no free lunch in the real world, and no one gonna willing to teach you with no like finance incentive. So I joined the flat fee broker, and it took me like 4 years to get to the point that I really want to get. So it take way longer. So from my experience, when I train the new agent, even you in the right environment and people willing to support, and you get the training, you have to plug in. It just take like 1.5 or 2 years to get you to get to the consistent income that you want in this career. So that's the mistake that I made at the beginning. And I know a lot of realtor right now, when they first got their license, they always consider because of the split between broker, because the expenses that they have to pay with when running the business. But since again, from like your point of view, that we have to think about long term, joining the environment that can help and support you from beginning is really important until you get to the point that you can leverage and you can stay by yourself, and then you can make the decision later whether which model is better for you. That's my first mistake.
No, thank you for sharing, Tuan. You have a second mistake?
Yes, I do.
Okay, go ahead, and then I got a comment on your first one.
Yeah.
1 minute,
yes.
Hui. Sorry for interrupting, Tuan. I think people are waiting in the waiting room, Hui.
Okay, hang on.
Okay.
Okay,
So
yeah, Tuan,
sorry.
you can continue. Let me see if I can admit people in. Yeah, Tuan, you can continue.
Yeah. So my second mistake is pretty similar like how made it, since we involves a lot of residential transaction, and sometimes it's the beginning, it's a lot of emotional involving, but later on, but every time that I had the back then I'm not able to control it, and I'm the woman in business too, I'm not able to control it, and I bring that emotional go back to my client. So for example, if you have to involve in the transaction and the listing agent is not very friendly, not very supportive, and you feel like the item, this repair, you have to fight for your client instead of focusing on the solution, then you you focusing on your emotion, and you just go back and talk with your client about it. It is not good. Later on, when I do better, I realize that my main job is find the solution to help my client and to have the deal close. So when they're buying the house or they're selling the house, buyer, seller already bring a lot of emotion to the table, and you always have to remind yourself that, okay, my job is make the deal happen, and my job is to find the solution for the deal, not just get around with the emotion of everyone. That's my second mistake.
Oh, thank you for sharing. Yeah. I think one of the mentor, they once told me that, there's no happy deal, there's no sad deal, there's only deal that close and deal that don't close. So,
Right.
remember that when you go to your career. Yeah. Look at the solution, get the deal closed. There's no happy deal, there's no sad deal.
Thank you, anh Huy. That's
Yeah,
all.
yeah. Yeah, and I really want to comment on your first point. I think if I personally look at my entire career, a lot of the right decision I make is simply because I get around the right people, and I just have the right people in my circle, in my environment, right? Sometimes success can be very simple. You just need to look to see the people that already achieve what you want to achieve, and to see if they are willing and able to help you. Right? These need to come handy, right? Willing and able, right? And in our revenue share group, that willing and able, is a lot around us, right? So yeah, so get around the people that is willing and able to help you where you are. Sometimes success is just as simple as getting to the right people.
Right. Agree. Thank you.
Hey, Hui, this is Elva. How's everyone doing?
Oh, hey, Elva, how are you?
Good. Well, just listening to all the great sharing, and I do have some thing to share. Just want to circle back to Do on the point, right? So and then your point, there's only two type of deal, closing or not closing. But throughout a career being an agent, it's unavoidable that you yourself will get into some emotional restraint from your client as well. But if that ever happened, like it happened to myself sometime, I remember there was a client of myself. I literally just had a baby, and his wife, I mean, he's a seller. I mean, sorry, he's a buyer. And situation happened during COVID, and his wife stuck in Korea, cannot come back to sign for her to, and they cannot do a mobile signing. And for her to come back, he had to spend $4,000 air ticket to bring her back to sign in order to close, or else he would lose his earnest money. It's a drama, but it was a very emotional strain during that time because I just had my baby, and listening to him like venting about that for like days about it. But one thing I want to point out is that, as an agent, we are human too. If you do run into a situation like you need someone to coach you on this kind of emotional restraint from your clients, or, you always can talk to one of your team members or whoever that you trust the most, and just so that you're not alone, and to deal with that kind of things. And, you can bring up your issues and maybe talk to someone, and we'll come up with a solution together. So that was my own experience. There are very dramatic clients out there as well.
Yeah, that is a really good point, Elva, because if you just bring somebody fresh into the table that is not emotionally attached to the deal, they're gonna be able to give you very objective opinion on what you should and should not do it in order for the deal to be closed, right? So that's a really good point to have.
And thank you, Hui, and everyone for sharing your experience.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you for sharing, guy. I think really that's it, guy. I do want to end the note a little early today. I know sometimes we run all the way over 11, but I want to give you your 20-minute back today, so to go take care of your thing. So thank you for attending, right? Again, our mission, we really want to help agents create equity and cash flow in this company, right? We have the good model, we have stock, we have revenue share, right? You have everything you need here, the human factor to go build your business, right? So if you want to partner with us, if you watch this video on YouTube, scan the QR code to learn more about us, about me, and just schedule a call, and we go from there.
Thank you,
Cool.
Hui.
All right. Well, thank you guys. And I see you guys when I see you guys. All right. So talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you, Hui.
All right. Thank you guys. Talk to you soon.
Lee.